Welcome to Beauty and the Gi, the podcast about jiu-jitsu and life on and off the mat. I'm Jen Eads, a white belt full of curiosity and questions about all things jiu-jitsu.
And I'm AJ Klingerman, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu brown belt obsessed with jiu-jitsu.
And I'm Kristina Barlaan. I realized I waved and no one can see me. And I am a first degree black belt who loves ice cream and giving warm hugs with sweaty pajamas on.
Perfect.
That's the best intro, like guest intro ever. You win the prize.
Yay!
AJ, why is Kristina on the podcast?
I'm so excited. Kristina's on the podcast because she's going to come out and teach at our next role model camp.
Whoop, whoop. Ahoy for camping.
You know, like we've kind of talked about it before, but I tend to pick our coaches by people I want to train with. And Risser and I have done 2 camps with Kristina at Girls Gone Gi, which is obviously Rachel Casillas' camp. And, you know, we just kept talking about, we've got a huge list of names that we were going through, and we just kept coming back to Kristina. And so, like, I messaged Rachel and I was like, are you cool if we bring her out? Like, is this like stepping on your toes? And she's like, no, absolutely bring her. So.
Yay. Yeah. It's always nice, right? It's like, who do I want hugging me very, very aggressively?
Yeah.
Okay, she's cool.
She's cool. Yeah. Well, you know, like a lot goes into it. Like, I need to know that like you're a good instructor and that there are things that I want to learn from you, but also that you like represent our brand, you know, like that you are a role model. And so, you know, you're perfect for that. We knew that you are already a great instructor and a great role model. And so we're super excited.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hopefully I get to elevate the vibe. You know, I've been getting to like see like some of the posts, and you've been doing this for a couple of years now. So I'm just like, wow, that's like cool. They got like the matching rash guards, and there's just like a ton of women on the mat. I'm like, and they all like sweaty and smiley, you know, like those are like the best pictures, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's so awesome that she's doing that. I'm like, good, you know, good for them. And like, and just so excited that like there's more and more opportunities like this for women to come together and just train and just have fun in a non-competitive atmosphere. Like that's just amazing. I mean, I don't think I could have ever thought things like that would exist when I was a white belt, you know? And so now as like a black belt, you know, I'm just so happy by how things have grown, and then getting to just be part of it, like either as a leader or also just as a participant, and just being like, wow, this is cool. You know, I'm so glad we have this now. So thank you for doing that and bringing that, you know, putting that together and bringing us all together on the mat.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy to do so. Like, this will be our 8th camp. Yeah, we've been doing it for a little while. And Rachel really inspired it. Like after being at her first camp, I was like, I want to do this. I want to. And now our camps are very, very different. Both are amazing camps, but they're just different vibes. So I always have her come and teach at all of our camps. She's kind of our core instructor. And then we figure out who else we want. So yeah.
Oh, I'm very honored to be added to the roster.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, like, you know, just kind of your background, where you train, all that.
All right. Well, I train under Professor Kayoteha in San Jose, California. I'm pretty much a born and raised California girl. Started jiu-jitsu when I was 21. Actually, when the first time anyone showed me jiu-jitsu, I was 20. I was only doing Muay Thai, and I'm like, this jiu-jitsu stuff is like, I don't think it's for me, you know? And it was because they were trying to show it to me no-gi, and like, it didn't make any sense. They're like, yeah, you just need technique and leverage, and you can beat bigger and stronger opponents. And I'm like, I call bull. Because y'all are smashing the hell out of me, and I'm doing what you're telling me to do, and this is not working. So I think I'm just gonna stick with punching and kicking people for now. And you know, and it took me like a year before like my teammate was like, hey, you should, you know, he was like poking me, you should try it again. I'll let you borrow a gi top. You know, like I really think you could be good at it. And I'm like, okay, you know, I guess. And like my first class, you know, it looks like I'm doing sambo. Like I had just a gi top and like grappling shorts. And then like one of the gym white belts, I don't know whose white belt that was. That could have belonged to somebody. It could have been there for like, how I don't know how many years, probably really nasty, grody, you know how it is. I didn't care. I was invincible back then. I just wrapped it on. And it was so much fun. I was like, oh my God, like this makes sense. Like, I can grab people. I'm like, And that was hooked after that. And, I didn't think I was going to be a competitor. And then Kyle's like, hey, you should compete. And I'm like, I don't know anything. They're all like, you know a lot. I'm like, I don't even know how to start from standing. They're like, here, learn these things, which were completely ridiculous to teach a white belt. They're like, here, you're going to flying armbar. You're going to flying triangle. You're going to jump guard. I didn't know any better. I didn't know any better. I was a knucklehead. They're like, just do this. I'm like, okay. Like,
I can do that.
Yeah, sure. That's all I have to do. Sure. And I just thought that that's what everybody else was doing. I didn't realize it wasn't normal. And then I got
sometimes that's a blessing.
Yeah. Like my first seminar was it Ramina Sato, and he's like a Japanese like pride fighter, and they're like, yeah, it was like diving inverted heel hooks, and I didn't know what those were. I didn't realize that those were a really dangerous thing for white belts to learn. And they're like, so what did you learn at the seminar? I'm like, oh, I learned this. And they're like, And I'm like, did I do it right? They're like, don't do that. I'm like,
no. Yes, but no.
Like, I didn't know any better. I was just like a junkie for jiu-jitsu. I just wanted to keep doing it. And then, I was like the only girl on the mat. And then, I only got to compete against women or like go with women really in tournaments. Everybody was bigger than me. And then I was just addicted to it. And then, the years went by and I was like, man, like, I want more women on the mat, and I don't want to just to compete against them. Like, I want to like have training partners, and I want to have more women, and I want us all to be friends. And then now here we are. And I think I have friends now in jiu-jitsu, and we all like to really cuddle each other aggressively, and it's great. And so that's, I guess, my story.
Nice. Very nice. And you danced before jiu-jitsu, right?
Yes. Like dancing since I was 5. And like, there's a certain point in time where I thought like, hey, that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Dance. I'm like, no. I definitely burnt out like from classical performance. And I was like, I don't know. It's like, I love dancing, but I don't think I could do this like professionally, so it's like, that's where you see it everywhere. I can't keep myself from it, so from Filipino folk dancing, ballet, and jazz, which I'm classically trained in those, like hip hop, break dancing is what most people know, now. It's just like, I just got to move. And, that's why you see me when I warm up, they're like, why are you dancing? I remember when I was a white belt, like, doesn't she know that she's going to fight? Like, why is she dancing? And like, for me, like, that's how I got hyped, because when I was a kid, I was like, okay, I'm about to go and perform in front of all these people. And if I mess up, they're all going to see, so what better way to get in the mindset to like, choke someone or have someone like try to like choke you than to, I guess, dance. I don't know. It makes sense to me. I don't know if it makes sense to anybody else, but for me, that's like how I get like, all right, I'm ready. Put me in.
I think it's great.
How do you think the dancing impacted the way that you just move in your body then? Did that help translate? Did that impact your jiu-jitsu at all when you first started?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Like, just the body coordination and just knowing where my body was in space. So it's like, if you told me, hey, this is what the move is going to be, I could watch it and like, oh, okay, that seems kind of similar to like this. Like, it's like the hardest part about starting jiu-jitsu isn't necessarily like the technique jiu-jitsu part. It's actually just learning how to move your body,
Mm-hmm.
because if you don't have like, we see our hands, we see our feet, but then we don't really realize that we can actually use them in different ways. And, in the beginning, like when you're first doing jiu-jitsu and you like see something, like, well, how the heck did you do that? You're like, oh, you just, put your foot here and then then right foot in, right foot out, do the hokey pokey, do it all about, right? and like, so to have that already in my brain, that like, okay, my hand goes a certain way, or like have that certain sensation was huge. Like, and the flexibility. I mean, I was already naturally really bendy as a kid, I was like a little like rubber ball. But just like knowing how to use the flexibility that came from dancing, of course I got smashed all the time though. like I think that's like the only asset I had as a white belt, was just like, okay, I'm not strong, not big, I'm not athletic, but I can put my foot to my face and that could be good for something. I don't know.
So my question is, how much do you point your toes in jiu-jitsu, and do you get made fun of for that?
Yeah, like, well, everything is like a dance move, like, you know, and like when I'm showing a technique, they're like, okay, and you put your foot here and here, and then you have to have a rhythm, like, but up, but up, but up, but up, but up, but up, and then you want to turn here, and it has to feel right, and they're like, are you dancing? I'm like, maybe. Probably yes. I'm dancing.
Yes.
I'm definitely dancing. Yes. The answer is yes. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't know, like maybe I feel like it makes it fun for the students, you know. And I feel like also it kind of takes away that like over competitive, like, you know, like you got to work, train hard thing. You know, I'm a lighthearted kind of person. So if you're doing something and you're a beginner and you already feel kind of like foolish doing it, you know, I feel like that dancing aspect is a really good way to kind of like cut a little bit of like that over seriousness that can get like can come with training. So you're just like, okay, I can be goofy, I can mess up and I can have fun, but also still learn how to do something really badass, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. My girls are always teasing me about having my toes pointed when I do like,
They're beautiful.
like a pendulum sweep or something. And I'm like, look at that pointed toe.
And grace and beauty and murder.
Right. Exactly.
I think that might be the title for this episode.
Grace, beauty, and murder.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, we're going to pick up all those true crime listeners.
Oh, Lord. I've definitely had students who are like, how do you make your toes do that? I'm like, I bet, what are my toes doing? And they're like this. And I'm like,
Yeah.
like they have a mind of their own. They just kind of snake around and then they look a certain way. I'm pretty sure it's useful. It works. It looks
I
good.
love that.
Yeah.
I also think like the dancing and warming up, like kind of giving myself that permission to do that. I've had a terrible time with nerves before competition. And in the last, year and a half, I've kind of like loosened up and listened to whatever music that would kind of like get me moving. And I think that's helped a lot with my nerves.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like it's a good way to kind of like displace that energy, like instead of like feeling it here. Like, oh, here's a weird example. The other day it was like training, and like after training, we were like stretching out. And for whatever reason, the music that was playing like wasn't like, Zen, like dun, dun, like nature, like, what they usually play when like, you're doing yoga. No, it was like hard rock and metal, like Metallica was playing. And I'm like, I don't think I've ever like done like yoga or stretching to metal, but this works. Like, because like I'm flexible, but there's still positions that are uncomfortable. And like, even though it was like uncomfortable, like I'm hearing the music like da, da, da. And I'm like, I was so into the music that I couldn't feel the pain.
That's great.
Like if it's too like, who's that? If you try to tell yourself to calm down when you're nervous, like it just makes you more nervous, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like I'm like trying to stretch and I'm like, okay, don't think about the pain. And then if someone's just saying relax, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna relax, And you just have this guy in the background like, rah, rah, rah. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I'm so badass. Putting my head on my knee right now. And so, that totally makes sense that like, so that's all. I'm glad that you found that and you started doing that, because I really wish that more people like did that. It's like, hey, you don't have to be all like,
right? Yeah. That made me terrible. Trying to be in that like angry mindset or like, killer mindset just made me worse. So yeah.
And I just look ridiculous when I try that.
Yeah. Well, and here's the funny thing is like in my head, I feel like I'm like, all right, I'm in the zone, listening to like the most ridiculous K-pop, some like sugary, just like da da da, yeah, love you, that's that, But my face in these pictures in the bullpen looks like I'm about to stab somebody, and I'm like, why are you angry? I'm like, I swear I'm not. Maybe I'm just hungry. But if you knew what I was listening to, like there's nothing murdery or killing or anger in there. It's literally all just like, I love you, peace chocolate. Like, like I don't know what my face does, but I'm in the zone and I'm feeling happy. Like, but my face, ooh.
So I know you play several instruments too, right? Like piano, guitar, and ukulele, which I can see here. Ukulele.
Yeah.
Did you play those like as a child, or like when did you start picking up instruments?
I played the piano as a child. I picked that up when I started lessons when I was 5. But like, here's the thing. I never actually learned how to read notes. I was like really bad at it, reading notes. And so I think this is part of like the dancing thing too. You have to like memorize choreography. So I had to fake being able to read notes for a very long time. They're like, okay, play this part. And I had like, when I had my piano lessons, I would just memorize what it sounded like and where the teacher was putting their hands. And I'm like, am I faking it? Am I making it? And yeah, I can't read notes. I can't read sheet music. Heck, if you told me like, what is A? Like, sing me an A. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I could show you on the piano. I could show you on the guitar. And so, yeah, play by ear, because the lessons weren't doing anything. I picked up the guitar in high school, at first at high school, but I never really like learned anything. I think I learned like 1 or 2 songs just to be cool, like, oh, yeah, I can play the guitar, But I was totally like, same thing. I was just like, I didn't know what I was playing. I would just memorize where my hands were supposed to go. But I really started like playing that more like in my early 20s, somewhere maybe like 22 or something like that. Somewhere around the time that I first started jiu-jitsu. And then the ukulele, I only picked up maybe like 4 years ago or something like that. Yeah. So that's really been like new, but I picked that up. It was pretty easy to pick up once I play the guitar, and actually the more that I played the ukulele, it got easier for me to learn how to play the guitar. So, yeah, music's just been kind of like part of my dad plays the guitar too. So I was like, I want to be cool like my dad. He's so cool,
I think there might be a jam session at camp. I feel that coming on.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely.
Yes, I'll bring all of mine. You don't even have to bring one. I'll bring it for you.
But we just bring a whole bunch of stuff. You're like, someone can bring like a bass, someone can bring guitar. I don't know. We can make like all the students like make their own like instruments with like water bubbles. I don't know, like
you guys just play. We're gonna enjoy it. Okay.
Can we have karaoke night? We can have karaoke night. Right? Yeah.
Okay, so let's announce this now. This sounds like a great time to do it. So we're not doing karaoke night. However, Saturday night at the party, which the party is 80s theme this year.
Oh yes.
We are going to do a lip sync battle.
Oh.
So anybody that wants to have a solo or group or whatever an entry into the contest, we'll do a limited number because there's going to be like 200 women there, so not everyone can be in it.
Wait, did I just hear what you said? 200 women?
We expect 250. We currently have 100 registered.
What? That's insane.
Yes, 250 is the goal right now. So yes,
oh my goodness.
It's huge. Camp is huge. But yeah, so lip sync battle Saturday night, and we're going to choose the winner by dollar votes. And we're going to, all the money is going to go towards some sort of dementia foundation. So we'll talk about that more coming up. But yeah, so start planning your lip sync battle.
I'm thinking more about like my costume. I'm just like, it has to be the whole thing. Like
yeah,
hair.
Yeah. Oh like, yeah, we dress up.
Like get my leg warmers.
Last year we had a Roaring 20s party and it was great. Everybody came in flapper dresses or like suits, and it was awesome. So yeah. God.
I want to be like those like aerobics guys. You know, like the aerobics competition.
The jazzercise.
Yeah. All right. Oh, I'm so glad I know this now. This is dangerous information.
It's going to be so much fun. So yeah, camp is huge. Like, and I guess I should have told you ahead of time, but especially like we have some yoga instructors, and I always make sure that they know like this isn't teaching to a room of 15 to 20 women. This is, you have to be able to project. Like, do you need mic? I can mic you, but there's going to be a lot of women in the room. So
maybe they might want to suggest that Metallica, with the metal yoga.
Yeah, I'd be into that. That'd be awesome.
Me too.
Metal yoga, it's a thing.
What do you enjoy teaching?
Oh, I mean, so I'll say I enjoy teaching everything. I definitely love teaching gi more than I like teaching no gi, but I love teaching no matter what. This might sound weird. I like teaching what works. And I don't mean like, what works as a like only certain things work and some things don't work, but I like having a system that kind of like you can really mold it and fit it to what your game is. So like in any situation, you can make it work for you. So obviously I love teaching stuff from guard. I'm definitely a guard player. I love back attacks, but I like teaching concepts. I like giving people like little Lego. I say this all the time. And you're going to hear me talk about it too at the camp. I like giving Lego pieces. I like teaching Lego pieces. Like I want you to have your little Lego block that you can take and put anywhere that you like to build your game. Like I don't want you to have my jiu-jitsu, but your jiu-jitsu is going to be like a combination of everybody you've ever learned from, anyone you've ever trained from. And so I want to give those concepts that'll make life easier for you, like little hacks. So if I can teach that, and sometimes it looks really fancy, because, I'm a Leo. I got to have some pizzazz in there, So I like teaching stuff that make people go like, whoa, like, and it could be super simple. It could be super simple. Like, oh, I never thought of that before. And I'm like, yeah, yeah. Right. And then just to feel excited. So I like teaching anything, but I really like teaching those concepts that you can put in anywhere and they really, really work for anything.
The first time you taught at Rachel's camp, you did a lot of inversion stuff. And before that time, I was like, I am not built to invert. I am too big of a girl to be inverting. And like, you really broke it down. And I was like, I can invert. Like, I remember rolling that weekend and one of her guys, Alex, made me invert kind of. And I was like, I don't normally invert. Like, I'm doing this. Kristina, look.
You're like, this is scary and exciting.
So like, I really appreciated how well you were able to, just make it something that everyone could do.
I always say, I think that's like one of the best feelings. It's like when you have a student, who's just like previously is like, oh, I can't do that. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm just not meant for that. And then you just, again, like you give them a little key, you give them a little tip, you give them like, hey, think about it this way. And they're like, oh my God, I can do it. I'm like, yes. Or like, look, Ma, no hands. I'm doing it. And it just makes me feel so happy. I feel like everybody has that one, like Jen, what was the first time that you felt like when you were training, they were like, oh my God, I'm doing it. Like, what do you know what the first move was? Just like, oh my God, I did it.
I think the Ezekiel choke is like the only thing I've ever actually done halfway well.
Oh, but that's like an amazing feeling, right?
But it was like, oh my God, this actually works.
Yeah. Like for me, it was like a basic like scissor sweep, and that was like my first class with Professor Kyle, and like he taught a class and he just made it look so easy. And I'm like, it can't be that easy. And I remember like just doing it and I'm like, y'all see that? Like it worked, or like the first time you submit somebody, like everyone feels that feeling. And so like, and it's nice being able to always get to relive that as an instructor. Every single time you teach something to a student and they get it for the first time, or they have that like light bulb aha moment, I feel like that's like the most rewarding. And every single time I get to see it, I get to remember what it was like when I was a white belt. And it's like, oh man, this is great, because I don't like, I'm a black belt, but I don't want to have like that black belt mentality where like I get jaded, you get jaded and kind of like take things for granted. Like, oh, I've seen it, I've done it. Like, nah, man, like I always want to have like that white belt mentality where just like, I'm new and fresh and uninjured.
That would be great.
Yeah, right. Like I didn't have back problems yet. Elbows, shoulders, knees. What are those? What are those? I can do it. I am an untouchable. I'm invincible.
Invincible, yes. Well, you were also 21 when you started, so that's
yeah, that was definitely a blessing. Like I was 21 with indispensable income and just dumb. I was just like,
Did it take you long to kind of connect the dots and see where it all made sense, or were you just right away you picked it up?
Once the gi was added, that's when it started making sense. And then even up until that point, I didn't even like really train consistently until Kaio started teaching out of Cesar Gracie's, and that's when it was like, oh my God, it makes sense, because before then it was just like, okay, I'm just having fun grappling. I'm just having fun, like grabbing someone's gi and like, being a little rabid koala and then going for the ride, like I was just having fun doing that and knowing I wasn't going to get beat up or hurt, like that adrenaline rush. But once Kaio started teaching, like I said, he taught like a basic scissor sweep. And I was like, oh my God, that makes sense. Like there's like the why, like he explained, why am I grabbing here? Why am I grabbing here? Why am I turning my hip? Why am I putting my foot here? And I think once I started that mindset of just like, okay, why am I doing this? Then I feel like that's when it started really taking off. And I started like learning more because like I said, when someone first tried teaching me jiu-jitsu, it didn't make any sense. I was like, this is weird. Like, what are you guys doing? You're just kind of like rolling on the ground, like sweaty. And again, it was no gi. So I'm just like, looks kind of weird.
Weird and gross. I don't think
like there's nothing like graceful or like, that just looks kind of, I'm a kick stuff over there, So it definitely, like I said, it definitely took that year for me to kind of like believe in jiu-jitsu. And then even when I started believing in jiu-jitsu, it took me that much longer to like really find like wow, that's how I can make it work, even though I'm super tiny. Like I'm like 120 pounds and everybody else is like 30, 40 pounds bigger than me.
Did having Kaio as an instructor help with that because he is on the smaller side?
Yeah, huge. I mean, I remember when he first walked into the gym and Caesar's like, that guy's going to be our new program director, And I'm like, looks like a 14-year-old kid, like, are you sure? Are you sure? And I'm like, he's a metal farm. I'm like, I don't know what that means. I'm like, he's winning. He wins everything. I'm like, okay, but like, he's tiny, And so of course I couldn't believe it. And then once I started seeing him like just demolish these like 200-pound guys, like it was nothing, and you're thinking like, oh, I'm definitely being punked. Like they're faking it. Right. But then you see the look on their faces and they're just like, what just happened? Or something getting like visibly frustrated or like, what the heck? Like this little kid is beating me up. And that was super inspiring, So it's super important, even though like obviously he's a guy, but like just having someone who is like my size on the mat, having that kind of representation, it's really important to have those role models or have those leaders so that we feel like, oh yeah, I can do this. I can do this, And that's why these camps are great because it's like now you get to walk into a room and like you said, like it's given like 200, maybe 250 women and are like, wow, I may not have known where I fit in before, but this is where I fit in, and but get to meet a whole bunch of other women who are like crazy like me about this sport that's like that no one else understands, right? I'm pretty sure you all have like relatives who are like, why do you do that? Why?
It took my mom forever.
Yeah. My mom still has to accept it. Like, when are you going to stop doing that jiu-jitsu stuff? Are you gonna? And I'm like, Mom, this is my job. This is what I do. Same thing. And yeah, I have aunties out like they're like, so you're doing that the martial arts. Yeah.
Just like in the last year, I started showing my family videos so that I could be like, what you think I do is nothing like what I do.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh my God.
Yeah. They're like, see, here's the thing. So the first time my mom came to watch me do Muay Thai, and that's like the first and only time she ever watched me do Muay Thai, she's like, oh my God, I almost had a heart attack. I had to go to see the doctor, heart palpitations, like crying. I'm like, no, please don't do that ever again. Don't tell me about it. And I'm like, all right, So she's like, you're getting punched and you're kicked, you're going to get brain damage. And then who's going to marry you? Like she's just so dramatic, and she, of course, I'm her baby girl. Right. Mm-hmm. And then she comes to like my first jiu-jitsu tournament, or not my first jiu-jitsu tournament, but her first time watching me at a jiu-jitsu tournament. And like, from what I was told, by my teammates, they're just like, she looks so confused, like, what, like, what were some of the questions? I was like, what are they doing now? Like, why are they on the ground? She has her back on the ground. That's that bad? They're like, no, that's really good. She's really good from there. I'm like, I I don't understand, you know? And then like I stand up, they raise my hand. They're like, oh, it's done. They're like, yeah. She won. She won. Like she did not hit. What? So confused. And she's like, oh, well, you know, she made the other girl quit from a submission. Like, oh, okay. You know, so like she just knows they're not getting punched or kicked, so she's good with it. Obviously, like she was also there when I tore my knee, and that was all bad. She's like crying. She's like, are you okay? Like I was holding it. I was fine. I was absolutely fine. And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. I can get through this. It's just a really bad knee injury. It's bad. I had to get surgery. And then my mom comes in. It's like, Bing, are you okay? I'm like, no. Mom. You know? So yeah. Oh, in the beginning it was funny. You know, like my mom's like, where are these bruises from? And I'm like, oh, rolling. She's like in the grass? I'm like down a hill? Like, no. Jiu-jitsu. Like, oh, okay. You know, so she's getting it, but yeah, they don't know. They don't know. Like no matter how many times they explain, it's like they're just like, wow, that's really violent. I'm like,
We're all like,
gentle art.
yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter if I win or lose. My mom always wants to beat up my opponent. My mom's like, I just wanted to come out on that mat and beat that girl.
Oh my God. I have one of my friends, he's a black belt. And, you know, sometimes like he'll travel and he'll want to bring his mom with him. You know, she's an old lady. She's great. I call her, you know, like auntie. She's, you know, she's like grandma, you know. And she's so funny because she's like this tiny little, you know, little woman. And then, you know, he's fighting, you know, and he's a big muscular dude. And then she'll be like afterwards, like, oh, you know, Bri, you should, you know, get him in the balls. I'm like, no, you can't do that. Like, just when the referee is not looking, you just go and they're not gonna know. I'm like, no, mom, you can't. Like, yeah, you know, you just grab. You grab and you know, and they'll stop. Like, no, you can't do that. You know, just you know, don't let them see. Like the guy is gonna feel it and he's gonna say something. Like, oh, you know, accidents happen all the time. I'm like, dude, stop it. You know, so sometimes you have moms like that. I'm like, you're crazy.
That would be my mom. She accidentally ran into your elbow. It's fine.
Oh my God. Moms are savage.
They are.
Like
sure.
I'll hand downs right now, going on the record. I'd say the toughest competitors I've ever had or toughest training partners have all been moms. Mom strength is real. I'm looking forward to, you know, one day I'm a mom and I'm like, okay, when does my mom strength come in? You know, because moms are like, yo, like Rachel.
Yeah,
like, like, oh my God,
it's Rachel
like,
and her whole team.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, like my arms are like, she'll put me like spider, like my arm is going dead, or I'm like, I can't move, or like I'm trying to like get past her leg, and I'm like, I can't. This is just a wall, you know. And it's just made that much stronger by her, like her technique, and then like just how she positions herself. I'm just like, this is unfair. I don't have mom strength yet.
The first time I saw Rachel win Worlds, she wrote Gabby on one foot and Ray on the other foot. And she won her matches by triangle, one on each side.
No.
And I cried. It was so like just so special. But she was like, I'm doing this for my kid. Like, that was...
Oh my God. That's like, you know, have you seen like that meme that everyone was doing with Claudio Duvall? And it's like after she had won Worlds again, and like she's like kind of crying when she's like doing this at the camera, like doing a heart.
The heart, yeah.
Yeah. But like the memes are like, it's like, you know, when your kid, you know, submits the other kid, like, you know, viciously, like, mommy loves you, you know, it's like that same thing, you know, like, oh my God, you just like, you know, you would be like, oh my God, that's so sweet. But like, she like murdered everybody. Like,
yeah.
You're like, oh, mommy loves you.
It's a very interesting breed of people we are. Yeah.
They're so full of love. I'll like rip people's heads off.
Yeah, grace, beauty, and murder, right?
Yeah. Beauty, murder. She is all that and more. Right? I feel like you have to like make like a theme song. You know what they do, like beauty pageants, you know, like here she comes. she has grace, or, they have like the crown, they have like the sash and you know,
Sounds awesome.
I think somebody might get
loves
special
murder.
walkout music at camp.
Yeah, you're in charge of that, Jen. I think you
Okay,
need to
we'll see
write
if I
her a
can make
song
that
for
happen.
that. Yeah, absolutely.
New theme song, Grace Reading Murder.
Yes.
I love it. One thing I want to talk about too, Kristina, is like you're a huge advocate for mental health, and you've been very transparent about like your issues with depression and anxiety. Have you always been transparent about that? And like, how has that helped you to talk about it?
Yeah, definitely not. I definitely grew up because it's very highly stigmatized, particular in like Asian Filipino culture. You just don't talk about it, or even if you do talk about it, it's right away. It's like, oh, like they don't take it seriously. Like I love my parents and I know that they love me, but they just did not have the tools to help me when I was younger and I was going through the things I was going through. And I also didn't know what was going through me, like because I just didn't. I also, because when something is stigmatized, it's really easy for you to start also believing like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm just being a baby, or I just need to suck it up. But like really, like, man, I really needed help. It wasn't until like my late teens where I was finally able to get my parents to realize like, man, I really, really, really need help. I need to go see a therapist, or I need to be on medication or something, because my panic attacks were unreal. And of course, also when I'm younger too, it's like when you don't know that what's going on with you is what is going on with you, it's hard for you to keep yourself in check and have that awareness. So like you're just kind of like a victim of the disease, of the sickness, right? It just takes you, right? And you make bad decisions or you make choices, and it's not because you don't care about yourself, but it's because you just want that pain to go away. And these decisions end up really hurting you, and they mess up your relationships with people. And yeah, I didn't know how to talk about it, or I just felt like, man, if I did talk about it, people are going to respect me, or they're just going to treat me like I'm this basket case, and like, oh, she just stays over there. Like no one wants to be excluded. So it really wasn't until like my mid-20s where I started really, really doing the work, because it was also showing up in my jiu-jitsu too. I didn't want to admit that I was so afraid of losing, because if I lost, that meant people weren't going to love me, or people weren't going to want to be my friend, or people weren't going to want to be around me. Like I would be a bad person. And then the depression and the anxiety that would set in because of that too. It's just like, yeah, you're running yourself ragged. So once I started doing that work, I was like, it's important to talk about it. And initially when I first started being more transparent with like my traumas and stuff like that, and like depression and anxiety, was also partnered up with also like my experiences with like a sexual assault, which was like a big thing, that happens in the jiu-jitsu community. And I believe at that time there was something going around with like a black belt, or if there's a brown or a black belt, and then a teammate doing something to another teammate. It was caught on camera, and it's just like, oh my God, now is a time that I need to talk about this stuff. Like I can't just keep it to myself, because for the longest time I was in denial. I was in denial that it had happened. So it's like, oh my God, this might be really important, because no one taught me to talk about it, and no one prepped me. So when I was younger and these things happened to me, there's so much shame. And when there's shame, you don't talk about it. And when you don't talk about it, the pain and the damage gets more and more and more. And then now we're talking about like suicide, and we're talking about self-harm. And man, that's like, man, no one should have to go through that by themselves, and no one should feel like that they're alone, because the reality is we're not. Once I started speaking, and it happened to be at like a women's open mat, Inspired, which is my baby, which I haven't really been able to do. But I'm like in a room with like 100 women, and I'm telling my story and like crying. And then and having moms come up to me and be like, my daughter's 13 and I worry about these things. And I'm like, I'm so glad that you're talking about it, because now she knows that like she can say something. At the very least, she can say no, and she can have her no respected and like, fight out of it. And so now it's just kind of taking on this other life where man, like the more I talk about it, the more I'm finding other people who didn't feel like they could talk about it, and now they're finding a home. And it's empowering. It's empowering to kind of like not let that darkness overtake you, like how it did in the past, where it's just kind of like it just controlled me. And I'm like, man, like, I I can't do anything about the stuff that happened to me, but I can definitely do something about the stuff like that's happening to me now and how I react to it and how I respond to it. And if I can spread that awareness and again, like encourage the conversation, encourage like healthy conversations about mental illness and mental health, then we're all going to be the better for it because we can't be living in the shadows. We live in the shadows, we stay in the shadows, right? And so really, really important that we just kind of bring the light in, even if it's like a little bit at a time. So that transparency and that vulnerability and being so outspoken, it took time. It took a lot of, and again, luckily through jujitsu, I was able to meet people who are just like me and give me examples of what it means to be vulnerable and transparent without it meaning that you're being weak. Like that's actual strength, that's courage, that's bravery, and I've just been just kind of like holding the flag with that, and hopefully like other people see it too and they pick up the flag too, and now we have this like parade of people just like, hey, like I have my troubles, but like it's okay, and it's just like this beautiful thing. So I'm really blessed I'm in this position to do that. And I hope I can keep doing it. If it saves a life or it just keeps someone from feeling like they can't go on, then it's all worth it.
I've been trying more and more, especially like on the podcast and stuff, just to like talk about, like bring up the fact that like I'm in therapy and, like just mention different things that like my therapist will say or whatever. And really like my goal is just to normalize it, like people see me as somebody who has it together, and, somewhat, but also like I have my own battles. And so, just kind of normalizing that talking to somebody and getting help is great.
Yeah. I mean, and people forget too, it's like, man, I may be a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but that's it. Like I'm not, like that black belt doesn't protect me from everything else in life. Like I'm a human being, like doesn't matter what I've won, doesn't matter where I've traveled to or where I've competed, like mental health affects everybody. And I am not going to stand here and be like, oh, I won these gold medals and I got this black belt and depression. What's that? No, it doesn't exist anymore. Like, no, it's completely there all the time. And some days it's more manageable. Some days it's just like, I can't even get out of bed. And some days it's just like, oh, wow, I really have to like really, really push myself to get through these steps. Like, okay, I just need to sit up in bed. Okay, I just need to leave my room. Okay, I just need to brush my teeth, like one thing at a time. And people don't think about that. It's like, yeah, like before I was a black belt, I was still Kristina with anxiety and depression and panic attacks and trauma,
Yeah.
So that was all there. It didn't disappear just because I got a black belt, but the black belt did help. Jiu-jitsu did help give me the tools to like better cope. And again, it gave me a community, it gave me a family. And that I feel like more than anything was the most important takeaway from that. I was like, that is the most important gift was the community. Because like once you're part of a community, it's like, wow, like I'm not on my own. And I also was like, again, I'm finding people who are just like me. Like, wow, like this is a normal thing, it's normal to struggle and it's normal to ask for help. And it's normal to like not be able to have all the answers. And it's normal to talk about it. It's normal to be scared. It's normal. It's all normal. So
before we wrap up, can you tell us a little bit about Inspire?
Okay, yeah. Well, the last time I was able to have an event was last year in January, and I had it in Baltimore. And my plan was like, all right, I'm gonna have them try to have them at least semi-annually or like quarterly if I can for 2020. And then COVID's like, you thought. So that was like I was trying to revive it again, but it started off as just like a women's open mat in Arizona, where I just wanted women to come together in a non-competitive atmosphere where we could just share the mat and train and have a good time. I thought that like maybe we could get 20 women on the mat, maybe, ended up being like 60 women. I'm like, where'd you all come from, And I was like, wow, like let's get in contact with sponsors. Let's have people, have raffles and like let's just make it like a really, really fun day again to like not have to compete against each other, but just play games that just roll, learn a little bit, and just be surrounded by by different types of women. Like you have competitors, you have moms, you have hobbyists, you have, like world class competitors. And it was just something beautiful. And then I just started like, okay, let's do another one. Let's do another one. And the largest event I've had so far was like 120. And I was like, wow, like I never thought I was going to get this big. I just wanted to do something nice for the women's community, because it's like, man, like, again, I didn't have that as a white belt, and I really wanted it. And I didn't know that like an open mat event could be something that could exist. And then now they're like, they're so common, and it's great. And like, more, let's do more. So hopefully 2021, we can pick them up again, because I really like to. It's all about, like, again, as the name is, it's all about inspiring those in the community. It's about showing up and being that light, and you could be a white belt, you could be a mom, you could be a student, like a middle school or high school student. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. We all have the ability to inspire somebody in some way, shape, or form. And that's the message I always want to pass on. It's like, you're more powerful than you give yourself credit for. And just by showing up, you can be an inspiration to somebody. It doesn't, again, like, you could be the mom with like 5 kids, and you still got your job, and you have to do everything, you, even though you're, co-parenting with your husband or whatever, father of the kids. It's like, even with all of that, someone is seeing you in your normal life, and they're like, wow, she's amazing, and I'm just glad that hopefully I can keep going. And I'm just glad that, again, like, there's camps, like there's role models, and you have girls in gis, and you have girls gone gi, and everything in between, like all around the country. And it's just beautiful. And I just love it. I just thank you for all that you do.
Thank you. And I'm so excited to have you at camp. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's going to be madness. It's like, was it like herding cats? It's like,
no, I mean, like, it really goes so well. I mean, we spend hours and hours. I mean, every day I'm working on camp. So there's a lot of it that we have down to a science. Marissa and I spend a lot of time working on it. So it really tends to go pretty well. Our biggest problem last year was with the mats. We had some issues where the mats just kept crawling up the walls. I don't know why. Like, the room was like tilted, and the mats were just like, but we're in a completely different room. We have new mats this year. Like, so we're trying to solve any problem that we have, but yeah. So yeah, all it's going to go great. Yeah.
I'm super excited. I'm stoked. Summer needs to hurry the heck up.
Well, I still have a lot to do, so let's not.
Okay.
Not too much.
Okay, like get here, but like, take your time.
Right. Yeah.
Get
something
here
in between.
Yeah.
So, Kristina, where can people find you?
At KB JiuJitsu on Instagram. I'm usually pretty active there. And yeah, like, there's all this bunch of different social media, but that's the one that speaks to my soul. We can do these like TikToks and Facebooks and Snapchats. No, just Instagram, nice and simple.
And the music, I love your music videos. They're so fun.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we gotta change it up.
I mean, the jiu-jitsu stuff's cool too, but
but came for the jiu-jitsu, stayed for the music videos.
Totally.
You have to check out some of Jen's live from the loo videos.
Live from the loo?
Mm-hmm.
Like the bathroom?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where I sing usually.
Oh my God, yes. The acoustics, you can't beat it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyone could be just like a Grammy nominated artist in the bathroom. Just like,
oh yeah.
No, you're like,
nope.
No.
Not me. You too, sure.
Oh, we'll get you there.
Oh yeah. I mean, maybe get you a few little, and then yeah.
That's why I need Jen to like edit me and fix my voice and all those things.
Oh, girl, I got auto-tune.
Yeah,
that's
where's that auto-tune?
You're going to sound just like Cher.
Great.
Oh, camp's going to be so much fun.
You believing in life after love.
I can't wait. Jen, where can they find us?
We are hanging out on Instagram also at Beauty and the Gi Podcast. I'm on there at Brassy Broad Jen.
And I'm AJ Klingerman everywhere you go.
And we will see you on the mat.